Right now at 6, the Raleigh neighborhood where an officer was shot yesterday is at the center of police activity again today. In the last 2 hours, a bomb squad arrived on Democracy Street to investigate suspicious items found in the trunk of that car. Police confirmed the car belongs to the suspect who was shot to death by police last night. Thank you for joining us. I'm Gerald Owens.
And I'm Deborah Morgan. This is the suspect, 70-year-old Antonio Rodrigues. Police identified him today. He's one of the 2 people who died in the incident last night. We have team coverage as new pieces of this story unfold 24 hours later, and we uncover more about the suspect's past.
Let's begin with WRAL Sean Gallagher. He is live in the Renaissance Park neighborhood for a second night. Sean, that police activity started clearing out a short time ago. What have neighbors said about all of this police action in their neighborhood 2 nights in a row now?
Yeah, Gerald, it's really unlike anything anybody here has ever experienced. And like you said, within the last hour or so, police cleared out of here. The focus has been on this vehicle here behind me that they say is the dead suspect's car, and that there was no threat connected to the suspect's vehicle, but they blocked off this area just to be safe and told residents to stay inside. Now, get a load of this. Anytime you see police using a robot like this, feels pretty serious. The Hazardous Devices Unit used this to investigate the car, keeping these officers a safe distance away from the suspect's vehicle. And RPD does tell us they pulled items from the car here that they consider suspicious, but would not get into specifics about exactly what those items are. Now, all of this really the culmination of a crazy 24 hours here. There was the officer-involved shooting and then also all of the activity all throughout the day. But this has been especially a crazy day or so for the woman who was inside the house during that officer-involved shooting. She had to run from that home for her life, finding shelter in a neighbor's home. We spoke with that woman about exactly what happened last night.
Right across the street.
It's a night Kayla Bisaga will never forget. Flashing blue lights, an incredible number of police officers on her block.
A cop flew by, sirens on and everything.
And then, shortly after, her neighbor Jill Roner outside in the elements.
She ran out of her house with no shoes on. It was starting to snow, and she ducked behind that car right there.
That woman, Jill Roner, told Bisaga what went down inside her home while she made dinner with her boyfriend.
Her ex-husband showed up at her doorstep with flowers and a taser, and he started firing at them with the taser, and they fought him off with chairs. And when they got him out, they took a minute to breathe. They thought they were cool. And then he came through the back door with the shotgun and started blasting through the back door.
That ex-husband, Antonio Rodrigues. He lived in New Jersey. A car with Jersey plates was heavily focused on today near the home with bomb investigators nearby. Rodrigues and Roner divorced more than 10 years ago, with a protective order in place ever since. But that didn't stop the constant harassing. Court documents show Rodrigues was convicted of stalking and sending revenge porn to Roner's co-workers, with charges in 2014, 2021, and 2022. A decade of torment, with one final deadly act.
Jill said the last she saw was her boyfriend bleeding out on the kitchen. She ran across the grass patch and ducked behind that car right there.
For about 2 hours, Roner hunkered down with the Bisaga family. Neighbors now forever connected by tragedy.
I was horrified for her. I mean, I've dated crazy guys in the past before that wouldn't leave me alone. So when I saw she was going through this, I was like, damn, that really sucks. We were just really worried about her. You know, it's really scary.
Now, one of the reasons Roner wasn't ready for an interview quite yet is because she somehow feels she's responsible for part of this. She tells me last night her boyfriend, Dr. John Rowe, was actually over to have dinner and help her get ready to move. She was planning on moving in with him sometime soon. In Raleigh, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
So heartbreaking. The red flags were there for years about the dangers posed by Antonio Rodrigues. He had multiple convictions for stalking his ex-wife, Jill Roner. WRAL investigates. Sarah Kruger explains what court records reveal about his past.
Court records give insight into the history between Jill Roner and Antonio Rodrigues. The two filed for divorce in 2014 in Carteret County. That same year, he was convicted the first time for stalking. He was convicted again in 2023 for stalking and disclosing private images of Roner. Court documents show Rodrigues was to go through abuser treatment, get a mental health assessment, and have no contact with her and stay at least 300 yards away. It lists the max punishment for the crimes as about 17 years. Instead, a judge gave him 3 years probation, which would have run through March 2026.
Domestic violence situations have always been one of the more dangerous calls that an officer can respond to.
Larry Smith, a retired Durham police officer, shot a man while he was responding to a domestic violence call in the early 90s. That man survived. The latest data from the SBI says in 2023, there were nearly 4,000 assaults on officers in North Carolina. In Raleigh that year, there were 194. 9 involved a gun. In this latest Raleigh case, court records show Roner had a restraining order against Rodrigues.
But if you have a suspect that order means nothing to them, honestly, it's just a piece of paper.
The frustrating reality is often that isn't enough.
It's going to be really hard to stop someone to try to injure someone else. It's going to be very difficult to stop that from happening.
Sarah Kruger, WRAL News, Raleigh.
Just a piece of paper. The latest addresses we found for Rodrigues were in Carteret County at the beach and in New Jersey. So either way, many miles away from his ex-wife's home in Raleigh.